Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry, and I really have to tell you this story. My daughter was on her way to get her car serviced. I called her, and as we were talking, her car died in the middle of the road. She wasn't very far from the house, and I was on my way to an appointment, so I took off down the road to find her. By the time I got there, there was another car next to her, blocking both lanes now. She was next to her. Um, and I pulled up and I got out and I went down to her. And there was a woman who was just talking to her, calmly talking and calming her down. This woman looked like the very picture of the little old lady who lives in the woods. She was sweet and kind, and she had such a joyful face. And she was just kindly and calmly talking Fatima through. Maybe it's this. Let's try to turn it. Let's turn it again. Give it a moment. Give it a moment. Now turn it again. When the car wouldn't start, we decided to go ahead and move it. And I looked up and turned around, and there were probably 4 cars that had pulled over, and they were all lined behind us. And then one by one, people were getting out of their cars to come to help. We had put the car in neutral and had begun to push it to the side, and suddenly the car was moving like it had started. And I looked up and there were all these hands. I heard a man speaking who had an Irish brogue, and I looked at the other hands, and they were hands like when you see that symbol of, he's got the whole world in his hands, and there's a world and a globe with hands of every nation around it. And all these hands were on the car, pushing it. Got the car to the side. Fatima called one of my sons who came to me recently as a son, and he said, I've got AAA. I've already called. They're coming to tow the car. He just happened to be here to make sure that I was okay, but he was here to make sure Fatima was okay. And all these people who turned up asked if we were going to be okay, if everything was going to be all right. Was there gas? Could they go and get gas? Maybe it stopped because there was no gas. Maybe we should go and get some. All of these things were happening. And I realized in that moment that none of it would make the news. None of this story that is a story that happens daily in our nation, in my little town that looks red on the map, none of this would ever make the news, the media, the social media, unless I told it. We are telling a story of division and strife, and then we are acting like the story we tell. What if we lifted our voices at times when all hands came together to push a car to the side? What if we told the stories of hands coming together to stop in the middle of the day of sewing a dress to invite an old friend I hadn't seen and didn't know had gone through a battle with cancer, who called and said, hey, I've got friends in town. My cousin is here. Can we come by? I knew I had a deadline, but I said, what if? What if stopping and coming together and spending time together and seeing one another is the story that we should be telling? And so we did. And the joy we had. We are rushing from one thing to the next. We focus on the person who cuts us off in traffic, but not the one who lets us in. We are seeing a story and then building into that story the narrative that says we are divided and will never be one. But as Jesus prayed in the garden, may we all be one. We're going to get there. I know it. I love you.